Welcome to Truthful Manipulation. In a world where truth is bent, facts are framed, and influence is too often used without conscience, this podcast stands for something different. I'm Dave Kelsey, along with H. Daniel Mujahid, and together we expose manipulation, defend integrity, and help you see clearly in a world determined to confuse you. Welcome to Truthful Manipulation, the show where we examine how influence works, how power hides, and how the phrase "trust me" should occasionally arrive with a helmet and a credit report.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Dave.
Today's episode is called The Unmatched Greed of Private Equity, Venture Capital, and the Billionaire Class.
A title so long it has already been acquired, restructured, and charged a management fee.
And before anybody begins hyperventilating into a monogrammed handkerchief, we are not saying that every private equity firm is evil, every venture capitalist is a predator, nor that every billionaire wakes up each morning and asks, whose pension can I turn into a vacation home?
Some of them ask that after breakfast, Daniel.
We are saying something more precise. Capital can build. Investment can rescue companies, fund inventions, create jobs, and turn a good idea into something useful.
Money is a tool. A hammer can build a house.
Or smash a piggy bank.
And certain people have mistaken the entire economy for a piggy bank with employees inside.
Our question is simple. What happens when accumulating more becomes more important than protecting the people who created the value?
And the follow-up question is even simpler. How much is enough? 1 million? 10 million? A billion? 10 billion? A private island with a backup island in case the first island feels crowded?
At some point, wealth stops being about comfort.
Because once you can afford groceries without comparing coupons, comfort has pretty much reported for duty.
Then it becomes status, control, access, the ability to shape laws, markets, media, workplaces, and public conversation.
The money's no longer buying things. It's buying distance from consequences.
That's what it's doing. And greed at that level does not look like somebody grabbing the last dinner roll. It looks polished. It has a slide deck. It uses phrases like operational efficiency, value creation, and strategic realignment.
If somebody says strategic realignment, check whether your job's being aligned with the parking lot.
The language matters because extraction rarely introduces itself as extraction. Nobody walks into the company meeting and says, "Good morning, we have decided to make ourselves richer by making your life less stable."
They say, "We're unlocking value."
Yeah, whose value?
Usually not yours. Yours is apparently locked in the room they sold last Tuesday.
So today we are following the money, translating the vocabulary, and putting human beings back into the spreadsheet.
Because a spreadsheet is very calm about suffering. It never cries, never misses a mortgage payment, and never asks why the CEO got a bonus for eliminating the department that did the work.
And that's where we begin. Let's start with the phrase creating value. It sounds constructive, almost wholesome.
Like building a birdhouse or remembering your anniversary.
But value can be created in several ways. You can invent something better. You can train people. You can improve service. You can modernize equipment. You can reduce genuine waste. You can even enter into new markets.
That's the old-fashioned approach. Make the company better, and the company becomes worth more.
But there is another approach. Cut staffing until service collapses. Sell useful assets. Borrow heavily. Shift costs onto workers and customers. Collect fees. Then present the temporary increase in cash as proof of brilliance.
That's not improving the restaurant. That's selling the ovens and congratulating yourself on the quarterly appliance revenue.
Financial engineering is not automatically wrong. Debt can finance growth. Cost discipline can save a bloated organization. A new owner may repair years of bad management.
And sometimes the house really does need renovation.
But sometimes the new owner removes the copper pipes, rents the doors back to the house, and calls the missing roof a leaner operating model.
Yeah, open concept.
The ethical test is not whether the transaction is legal or whether the investors made money. The test is, where did the money come from? Who carried the risks? Who absorbed the pain? And what remained after the investors left?
If the answer is they took the cash, the company kept the debt, the workers kept the anxiety, and the town kept empty buildings, I would not call that value creation.
I would call it extraction.
With excellent stationery.
Dave, this is one of the oldest manipulation tricks. Rename the action so people argue over the label instead of examining the result.
Layoffs become right sizing. Customer frustration becomes demand management. A smaller product at the same price becomes portion innovation.
And greed becomes fiduciary responsibility.
That phrase has done more cosmetic work than an entire Beverly Hills clinic.
A duty to investors matters, but responsibility does not disappear simply because someone else is not listed in the contract. Workers made commitments. Suppliers extended trust. Communities built roads and educated the workforce. Customers built loyalty.
A company's not a slot machine sitting alone in a desert.
It's a network of human obligations.
If your business genius works only when someone else loses, you may not be a genius. You may just be standing closest to the cash drawer. All right, Daniel, explain private equity without requiring our listeners to earn an MBA during the commercial break.
Well, Dave, private equity firms gather money from investors and use it to buy companies that are not publicly traded. Or they take public companies private. They often use a large amount of borrowed money to complete the purchase.
So they buy the company partly with money the company will later be responsible for repaying?
That's the key point. Imagine I buy your house, but I place much of the acquisition debt on the house.
I already dislike this story.
Then I charge the house advisory fees.
The house didn't ask for advice.
I sell the garage. I lease it back to the house. I cut the maintenance budget, and I tell the family that fewer working toilets will encourage collaboration.
Yeah, synergy in the hallway.
Now, this is a deliberately harsh illustration, of course. Many deals are more responsible, but it shows how incentives can become dangerous. The owner may profit through fees, dividends, asset sales, and an eventual resale, even when the acquired company becomes more fragile.
And that's the part most people miss. They assume the buyer wins only if the company thrives for decades.
Yeah, not necessarily. Depends on the deal. The buyer may recover money earlier while debt and operating risk remain with the company.
So the investor can leave the party before the bill arrives?
And the employees discover they are washing the dishes.
What gets caught first?
Whatever can improve short-term numbers. Staffing, training, maintenance, research, inventory, benefits, locations, customer support.
In other words, the things that make a company function after the PowerPoint presentation ends.
Exactly. Cutting genuine waste is management. Cutting the muscle and calling the weakness efficiency is something else.
If you remove half the nurses from a nursing facility, you have not made care more efficient. You've made the remaining nurses faster, exhausted, interested in changing careers.
And when service deteriorates, leadership may blame the employees who were placed in an impossible situation.
That's like removing two wheels from a car and writing up the driver for poor cornering.
Here is the manipulation. The people designing the strategy describe every consequence as a separate operational problem: debt pressure, market conditions, service decline, execution issue, burned out workers, culture problem, customer anger, reputation challenge.
But somehow the management fee is never considered a challenge.
Never.
That fee is apparently one of the load-bearing walls.
A responsible owner asks, how do we build a stronger company? An extractor asks, how much can we remove without causing collapse before we sell?
The difference is stewardship versus timing.
Yes, stewardship cares what remains.
Timing cares whether the roof caves in before or after the closing paperwork. This book is brought to you by the book, Truthful Manipulation, A Roadmap to Live By.
It helps you recognize manipulation in business, politics, media, relationships, and anywhere else somebody says, don't ask questions, we have already done the thinking for you.
Which is convenient because thinking is exactly what they hope you will outsource.
Our book is not about becoming suspicious of everyone.
That sounds exhausting. I barely have time to be suspicious of my own passwords.
It's about asking better questions, spotting pressure tactics, and using influence without surrendering your integrity.
Find Truthful Manipulation, A Roadmap to Live By through truthfulmanipulation.com with the purchase link to Amazon.
Read it before somebody charges you a consulting fee for advice you gave them.
That sounds oddly specific.
Yeah, I've been paying attention. And now back to the show.
Now venture capital, same thing.
No, related word, different model. Venture capital usually funds younger companies with high growth potential. Most may not become major successes, so investors depend on a small number of extraordinary winners.
They're looking for the next company that goes from 2 people, 1 laptop, and a dream to 20,000 employees and a congressional hearing.
That pressure for exceptional returns shapes behavior. A healthy business that grows steady may not be enough. Investors may want massive growth, a dominant market, and a lucrative exit.
A profitable little company can be treated like a disappearing child because it did not become the moon.
Founders may be pushed to scale before the product, culture, or economics are ready.
Hire quickly, spend quickly, expand quickly, discover the business model sometimes between the rooftop party and the emergency board meeting.
Again, venture capital has financed remarkable innovation. Some ideas require years of funding before they can succeed. Investors accept real risk.
And they should earn a return when they take responsible risk.
But risk does not excuse dishonesty. Move fast and break things. Sounds bold until the things being broken are people's livelihoods, privacy, savings, or trust.
It's easy to enjoy disruption when you own the stock instead of the thing being disrupted.
The startup mythology can also turn founders into secular prophets. They are told they are changing the world.
Even when they're inventing a subscription service for socks.
The mission becomes sacred. Skepticism becomes negativity. Employees who raise concerns are told they are not aligned.
Not aligned is corporate language for you noticed the smoke before we finish selling tickets to the bonfire.
When growth is the supreme value, ethics becomes a speed bump. Worker protections, product safety, truthful marketing, and customer care are treated as friction.
But friction is what lets the brakes work.
Exactly.
And when the growth story fails,
employees are laid off. Founders may lose control. Customers are stranded. Investors write down the loss and move to the next portfolio.
the people at the top call it learning experience.
The people at the bottom call it rent.
There's something ethically upside down about celebrating the person who made the reckless bet while describing everyone who paid for it as unfortunate collateral.
A humane system does not eliminate risk. It makes the people with the most authority carry a meaningful share of it.
And if you get the applause when the rocket launches, you should not become an innocent bystander when it lands in somebody's kitchen.
Now we arrive at the billionaire class.
A group so wealthy that class sounds less like economics and more like seating arrangements.
Our culture often treats enormous wealth as proof of enormous wisdom.
If someone has $10 billion, we assume he understands transportation, education, medicine, government, free speech, agriculture, space travel, and how everybody else should raise their children.
Success in one domain does not create universal expertise.
A dentist could be an excellent dentist. I still don't want him landing the airplane because he owns more drills than the pilot.
The halo effect is powerful. Wealth attracts praise, access, favorable coverage, political attention, and a surrounding class of people whose income depends on not saying, "Sir, this is a terrible idea."
And when everyone in the room laughs at every joke, you may be hilarious.
Or you own the room.
Or their mortgages.
Billionaires can contribute tremendous good. Philanthropy can support research, education, public health, arts, and communities.
Giving matters, but that usually doesn't happen with this class of billionaires today.
But generosity should not purchase immunity from scrutiny. Donating a fraction of a fortune does not answer questions about how the fortune was accumulated, how workers were treated, or how power is exercised.
You can't take the ladder from the building, donate one step back, and demand your name on the lobby.
There is also a democratic concern here. One person with extraordinary wealth can possess more practical influence than millions of ordinary citizens.
We each get one vote. Some people get one vote. 3 lobbying firms, a media platform, a policy institute, and lunch with the committee chair.
That is not a conspiracy. It's an imbalance of access.
A perfectly legal imbalance can still bend the floor.
And then comes the myth of self-creation. The billionaire says, "I built this."
Perhaps they did, perhaps they didn't. But roads are built, courts enforce contracts, schools educated workers, scientists develop fundamental knowledge, customers supplied revenue, employees supplied time.
No fortune is created in a vacuum.
Even vacuum companies need customers.
The problem is not achievement. The problem is forgetting the ecosystem that made achievement possible.
Humility is remembering that the parade also needed a street.
And greed is demanding a toll from everyone who watched.
Isn't that the truth? Let's put the workers back in this conversation.
A spreadsheet lists labor as a cost. That is mathematically accurate and morally incomplete.
Because labor is a nurse who stays late, a cashier covering 2 jobs, a mechanic who knows which machine makes the strange sound before it fails.
It is institutional knowledge, trust, skill, relationships, the things that do not fit neatly into the quarterly calculation.
And then somebody announces a 10% staff reduction as if 10% of the workforce were decorative palsy.
The remaining employees absorb the work. Service deteriorates. Errors increase. Burnout spreads. Management calls for greater engagement.
Nothing engages an employee like doing 3 jobs while receiving an email about wellness.
Perhaps with a webinar titled Resilience During Transformation,
hosted by someone working remotely from a sailboat.
The cruelty is often hidden by distance. The people choosing the cuts may never meet the people affected.
They see a row, not a face.
And distance makes moral imagination optional.
If they had to sit across from every person whose health insurance you eliminated, the meeting might last longer than the side label savings.
Communities suffer too. A large employer closes. Suppliers lose business. Tax revenue fails. Vacant buildings spread. Families leave.
And the investor calls it an exit.
The town calls it home.
That's the sentence, isn't it?
Yep.
The investor calls it an exit. The town calls it home.
This is why ethics cannot stop at the legal boundary of the corporation. Decisions radiate outward.
And people who demand credit for every benefit should accept responsibility for at least one of the damages.
But our system often personalizes success with socialized failure.
And when the deal works, visionary leadership. When it fails, market forces.
When profits rise, executive brilliance. When wages stagnate, economic reality.
And when the company needs sacrifice, employees are family. And when the sale closes, the family is informed that Christmas has been outsourced.
The language of family is especially manipulative when loyalty travels in only one direction.
If the company is truly a family, stop introducing dad to a new owner every 4 years.
You are listening to Truthful Manipulation, where we ask the question powerful people prefer to leave off the agenda. Who benefits?
Usually the person who printed the agenda.
Visit truthfulmanipulation.com for episodes, articles, and the link to our book, Truthful Manipulation, a roadmap to live by.
And while you're there, like, share, and subscribe. It costs less than a private equity management fee.
Considerably less.
We checked.
If the show makes you think, share it with someone. If it makes you angry, listen again and make sure you are angry at the correct people.
And if you disagree, good. Bring an argument. Just don't bring a slogan wearing a necktie.
Truthful manipulation. Better questions, clearer choices, fewer expensive euphemisms. And now, back to our show. Now let's examine one of the most durable arrangements in modern economics. Privatized rewards and public consequences.
That's when I keep the jackpot and everybody else buys the replacement slot machine.
A company succeeds and executives and investors receive the gains. Fair enough, when they created genuine value and carried the risk.
But when failure threatens, suddenly the company is essential to workers, communities, suppliers, and the economy.
The same leaders who praise the discipline of the market ask everyone else to cushion the landing.
Capitalism on the way. Group project on the way down.
This moral hazard encourages reckless behavior. If leaders capture most of the upside but bear only part of the downside, the incentive is to take larger risks.
Especially with other people's money.
And other people's jobs.
And other people's towns.
The defenders say, that's the market.
And the market has come a very convenient imaginary friend. It makes every decision, accepts every blame, and never attends the deposition.
Markets are systems designed and governed by rules, tax policy, bankruptcy law, labor law, corporate law. antitrust enforcement. These are choices.
And when somebody says the market decided, ask who wrote the instructions the market was following.
And who had access when those instructions were written?
To be clear, we're not arguing that every failed business should be saved.
No. Failure is part of enterprise. Bad ideas should not receive eternal life because the founder owns a good suit.
Some businesses fail honesty. Customers leave. Technology changes. Competition wins.
The ethical problem is engineered fragility. Loading an organization with obligations, extracting cash, underinvesting in operations, and then blaming outside forces when the weakened company collapses.
If you drain the swimming pool, don't blame gravity when nobody can swim.
Accountability means matching authority, reward, and consequence.
And the more control you exercise, the harder it should be to pretend that outcomes simply happen near you.
Power without consequence is not leadership.
It's a luxury subscription. We should pause here because fairness matters. If we turn every investor into a cartoon villain, we become the manipulators.
Correct. Dave, some private equity owners provide needed capital, professional management, technology, and discipline. Some rescue companies that would otherwise disappear.
Some venture capitalists patiently support founders solving hard problems.
Some wealthy people pay employees well, invest for the long term, give generously, support democratic institutions, and understand that ownership creates obligations.
So wealth itself is not the crime.
No, the question is the conduct.
How do we tell builders from extractors?
Look at the time horizon. Does the owner invest in the company's future or merely prepare it for resale?
Look at debt. Is borrowing substantial and productive, or is the company being forced to finance its own vulnerability?
Look at fees and payouts. Are the owners collecting regardless of the company's health?
Look at the workers. Are they sharing in gains? Or are they the first expense cut and the last people informed?
And look at customers. Is service improving? Is quality protected?
Look at what remains after the owner leaves.
Now, that last question is crucial. Stewardship leaves an institution stronger than it found it. Extraction leaves a receipt.
And sometimes a crater.
A responsible investor can earn an excellent return. Ethics does not require incompetence.
You are allowed to make money. You're even allowed to make a lot of money.
But profit should be evidence that value was created, not proof that value was successfully transferred from people with less leverage.
It's the only people celebrating are the people who wrote the deal. The champagne may be trying to tell you something.
Ethical capitalism requires more than consent hidden inside of contracts. It requires transparency, reciprocity, responsibility, and limits.
Limits. A word that makes billionaires react like toddlers hearing that the restaurant is out of chicken fingers.
Because greed does not ask, do I have enough?
It asks, why does anyone else still have some?
Now let's identify the manipulation techniques.
Number 1, euphemism.
Extraction becomes value creation. Layoffs become optimization. Reduced service becomes a streamlined customer journey.
Your journey is streamlined because nobody answers the phone.
Number 2, inevitability. Leaders say there was no alternative.
There is always no alternative immediately after the alternative that protects executive compensation is removed from consideration.
Number 3, false urgency. We must act now. The deal will disappear. The company will collapse. There is no time for workers, regulators, or communities to examine the consequences.
Urgency is often the pickpocket of informed consent.
Number 4, Hero worship. A wealthy buyer is introduced as a visionary savior.
He has arrived to rescue the company from the terrible burden of owning its buildings.
Number 5, blame displacement. When the strategy harms performance, blame employees, customers, regulation, interest rates, anything except the incentives of the people in control.
The captain drills a hole in the boat and gives the crew a seminar on positive thinking.
Number 6, complexity. Make the financing so technical that ordinary people feel unqualified to question it.
You don't need to understand every instrument to ask why the company has more debt, fewer employees, worse service, and happier owners.
Exactly. Complexity can explain a transaction. It cannot excuse its consequences. Number 7, selective measurement. Track everything that supports the story and ignore everything that contradicts it.
Revenue per employee improved.
Because half the employees are gone.
Customer service experience declined.
Because customers cannot reach anyone.
Real estate efficiency increased.
Because the building was sold.
Morale is difficult to qualify.
Because everyone who filled out the survey was laid off.
The defense against all 7 techniques is the same. Slow down and ask plain questions.
Who benefits? Who carries the debt? Who can walk away? Who cannot? What is being sold? What is no longer being maintained? What happens in 5 years?
And whenever somebody gives you 47 slides without answering one plain question, the slide may be the answer. A quick reminder, if you want to comment on today's episode, email us at truthfulmanipulation@gmail.com. Visit truthfulmanipulation.com for more episodes, articles, and the link to buy our book on Amazon. And please like, share, and subscribe. Algorithms are powerful creatures, and if you don't feed them, they wander off and recommend a 12-minute video explaining why your refrigerator is judging you. Share the show with someone who enjoys serious ideas, honest questions, and jokes approved by absolutely no private equity advisory committee. Truthful Manipulation, helping you recognize the sales pitch before the sales pitch recognizes your wallet. And now back to the conclusion of this week's episode. It's easy to criticize. What does the better model look like?
First, sustainable debt. Borrowing should strengthen the business, not place a timer on its survival.
Debt should buy the company a future, not sell the future to buy the company.
Second, shared rewards. When employees help create exceptional gains, they should participate meaningfully in those gains.
Yeah, not with a pizza party.
No.
Especially not one pizza for the entire shift.
Third, long-term investment. Maintain equipment, train people, protect safety, support innovation, build customer trust.
The boring things that successful companies were made from before everyone started speaking fluent deception.
Fourth, transparent incentives. Worker boards, inventors, and regulators should understand how owners are executives and executives make money from the transaction.
If the compensation formula needs smoke, mirrors, and a translator, perhaps it's not a formula. Perhaps it's a getaway route.
Fifth, accountability after exit. Leaders should not be able to collect immediate rewards for strategies whose predictable damage appears later.
You should not get a trophy at halftime and diplomatic immunity for the fourth quarter.
Sixth, stakeholder voice. Workers and communities affected by major decisions deserve information and meaningful consideration.
Not because every decision can be made by a committee,
but because people should not discover the future of their lives through a rumor in the parking lot. Seventh, Moral limits. Some profitable actions should still be rejected.
That sentence used to be called character.
A company can legally charge more, cut more, hide more, or pressure more. Leadership is deciding when not to.
Integrity is what remains after the leader says, technically you can.
Ethical investment does not reject profit. It earns profit by building durable value.
It treats workers as contributors, customers as people, communities as partners, and the future as something other than the next buyer's problem.
That's not anti-business.
That's business with objective performance. Most listeners don't run an investment fund. What can ordinary people do?
Well, first of all, they can stop confusing wealth with virtue. Admire achievement where it's deserved, but examine conduct.
A bank balance is a number, not a halo measurement.
And secondly, translate the language. When you hear unlocking value, ask what is being sold, cut, borrowed, or transferred.
When you hear efficiency, ask whether the work disappeared or merely moved on to fewer people.
Thirdly, follow incentives. Do the decision makers win even if the institution weakens?
If yes, their optimism deserves supervision.
Fourthly, support policies that match power with accountability, transparent ownership, responsible debt, serious antitrust enforcement, worker protection, honest taxation, strong bankruptcy rules.
Rules are not an attack on market. The foul line did not destroy basketball.
It made the game legible
and prevented the richest team from moving the basket into its luxury suite.
Fifth, notice where your own retirement money is invested. Many ordinary people are indirectly connected to those funds through pensions and institutional investments.
That makes the issue complicated. We want good returns.
Of course we do, Dave. But beneficiaries can still demand responsible standards, transparency, and long-term thinking.
There is no ethical purity machine. The goal is not to stand outside the economy wearing white gloves.
The goal is to improve the rules and expectations inside it.
And finally, refuse helplessness. Concentrated wealth wants the public to believe complexity makes scrutiny impossible. But you can ask simple questions.
Who benefits?
Who pays?
Who decides?
Who gets blamed?
What remains?
And why is the person demanding sacrifice standing next to a new yacht?
The unmatched greed we are discussing is not simply the desire to live well.
A comfortable home, security, travel, helping your family, those are understandable goals.
The problem begins when wealth becomes permission to destabilize companies you did not build, a permission to treat employees as disposable, a permission to shape public life without public accountability.
Permission to call yourself a job creator while carrying a box of jobs towards the shredder.
Private equity is not inherently immoral.
Venture capital is not inherently immoral.
Being a billionaire is not by itself proof of moral failure.
But none of those titles is proof of moral success either.
The moral question is what power does when it believes nobody can stop it.
Does it build? Does it share? Does it repair? Does it accept limits?
Or does it extract, rename the extraction, and purchase applause?
Wealth is not wisdom.
Profit is not proof.
Legality is not character.
And a successful exit is not evidence that everyone survives the journey.
The finest investors understand that money comes with responsibility.
The finest leaders understand that people are not raw material.
And the finest system is not one where everybody becomes wealthy.
It's one where Becoming wealthy does not require making everyone else powerless.
Capital should serve the enterprise.
The enterprise should serve human needs.
And human beings should never become acceptable losses in somebody else's victory speech.
When investors leave a company stronger, employees more secure, customers better served, and communities more stable, call that value creation.
And when they leave the money and everyone else stays with the debt, call it what it is.
Extraction.
Wearing a business suit.
Now, I'm Daniel.
And I'm Dave.
And this has been Truthful Manipulation.
Ask who benefits. Ask who pays. And if somebody tells you the deal is too complicated to understand,
that is when you should start asking louder.
Thanks for listening.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of Truthful Manipulation, the show where we question the story, examine the motive, and occasionally wonder how certain people manage to put on their shoes without a communications director.
It's an impressive operation.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, or even if we irritated you just enough to make you think, we would like to hear from you.
Questions, comments, topic suggestions, thoughtful disagreement, or a polite explanation of why Daniel is wrong.
Do not encourage fiction, Dave.
You can email us at truthfulmanipulation@gmail.com.
We may not agree with every comment, but we believe honest conversation is a lot more useful than everybody shouting into separate corners of the internet.
And it's considerably cheaper than group therapy.
Visit our website at truthfulmanipulation.com. There you can learn more about the podcast, explore our latest episodes and articles, and find the link to purchase our book, Truthful Manipulation, a roadmap to live by.
It's the perfect book for anyone who wants to recognize manipulation, think more critically, and stop becoming unpaid customer service for somebody else's nonsense.
Please remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen to or watch the show.
And share the episode with a friend, relative, coworker, neighbor, or that one person who desperately needs to hear it.
But will immediately assume the episode is about somebody else.
Naturally.
Leaving a rating or review also helps more people discover the show. It may seem like a small gesture, but it makes a real difference.
Unlike clicking like on a motivational quote and then yelling at somebody in the grocery store parking lot.
Integrity does require a little follow-through.
Until next time, keep asking questions.
Check the facts.
Examine the motive.
Ask who benefits.
Keep your sense of humor.
And never surrender your judgment to the loudest person in the room.
Because the truth doesn't need a costume.
And manipulation usually shows up wearing 3 of them.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Daniel.
This has been Truthful Manipulation.
Tell the truth.
Keep your humor.
And do not become customer service for the lie.